Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin, because as you can see right now, we are getting a massive pump to the upside. And I just want to remind you guys that we called out this exaggerated bullish divergence here in the charts at about 53,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. Because at the time I was saying, guys, we just bounced from the bottom of this descending channel that Bitcoin has been consolidating in for months here. And even though at the time I was getting called a perma bull for saying that we didn't lose support here yet, so far we have seen a massive bounce to the upside, leading to about a 18% move to the upside here. Now, before I dive into the shorter term here for Bitcoin and what I think is going to be happening next, I quickly want to give a shout out to Crypto Cobra, who I just did a collaboration with, because he uses the pitchfork tool in TradingView quite a lot, especially in his videos as well. And what we just did, guys, is he made an awesome video explaining exactly how to use the pitchforks for the higher time frames as well as for the lower time frames when you are trading Bitcoin or just crypto in general. So if you're interested in watching that, as well as my full trading course where I explain everything about how I do technical analysis in these videos here, you can get access to it completely for free simply by going to the first link in the video description. So go check that out and go subscribe to Crypto Cobra as well. I highly recommend it. Now, moving on with this Bitcoin analysis here today, because what you can see is that we are now getting somewhat close to the top of this descending channel. And in the case that you are new here to the channel, the base case on the channel here has been for months that Bitcoin is basically just consolidating in this range. And so long as we are trading inside this range here, we can go to the bottom of the range and we can go to the top of the range. But at some point, I think that we are going to break out of the top of this descending channel and grab all of this liquidity to the upside with a clear point of invalidation. That being that if we lose this as a level of support and we break down below this, for example, on the weekly time frame, then I will say, hey, the base case has been invalidated and I might be getting out of the market at that point. But so far, I have been talking about this for months and we have not lost it as a level of support. And therefore, this range that Bitcoin has been trading in has been very profitable for me and also for the Road to 1 Million community, because we have just been buying the lows here and selling at the top of the descending channel. And right now we're getting close to the top of that descending channel once again, sitting from about 65K all the way up to 67,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. So now let's zoom into the short term here and take a look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin. What you may notice on this 4-hour time frame is that recently we broke above this 0.5 level, sitting at 59.5K, came back down to retest this previous level of resistance and flipped it into support, and have now shot all the way up to this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 62 and 62.7K, and I've actually already gotten a confirmed candle close above that golden pocket. So this is looking very good for now, although I would say that if you just take a look at the lower time frames here, for example, so let's say this 1 hour time frame, you can now see that this RSI is in heavy overbought territory here. And usually what you'll see when the RSI is in overbought territory is that, yes, even though it can go a little bit higher, likely at some point you will start to see this reset back down to around this 50 level here. Now, in the case that you are not familiar with how the RSI can actually reset from overbought territory, the way it does this is either by chopping sideways or potentially even getting some bearish momentum in the short term. So in the case that we get just some choppy sideways momentum, we will slowly reset down to this 50 level, because whenever we are at 50, we are just seeing neutral momentum in the market. However, if we now get bearish momentum, then the RSI will actually reset down more quickly and can even go below that 50 level, because whenever we are below 50, it means that we are seeing bearish momentum on that specific time frame. So to summarize here, even though, yes, I think in the immediate short term, it can go a little bit higher here, I do think that at some point, sometime very soon, we will see Bitcoin cool off a little bit in the immediate short term, because do remember we are talking about the 1 hour time frame right now, before then potentially resuming higher, especially if you now start to see something like this, a move up, a move back down to retest and flip this into a level of support, and then blasting off further to the upside from there. But regardless of how it actually ends up playing out, I think this 62.7K down to 62K level is something quite significant to pay attention to, especially if you now trade below 62K, because this would be quite a bearish signal in the immediate short term here. Although I would say so far so good. So long as we keep holding above 62K, I don't really see a reason to be bearish here. You can really just assume that we will keep going higher until we start to actually see some kind of reversal here. But for now, we are just in a clear uptrend. Now let's talk about these big levels of support and resistance for Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is actually breaking above this previous level of resistance, which was sitting from 60,000 all the way up to 62.4K. So right now, we are really seeing a breakout above this level here. Although if we now get some kind of rejection back down, either from this previous high or potentially even this next big level of resistance sitting from 65,000 all the way up to 66,000, well, in that case, likely we would be falling back down into this previous level of resistance. And then we will see if it actually flips back into a level of support. And yes, I am always a little bit cautious with this because, for example, right here recently, we broke above, and at the time I had this marked in white as well, because I was saying, hey guys, we didn't come back down after breaking above it to actually flip it back into a level of support here. So therefore, I'm not assuming that this is actually a level of support. Then we came back down into this level and we just fell straight through it into this next level of support below it, right? So that is why currently this is marked in white once again. And if we now see a bounce from it at some point, then yes, we can say that that is now a level of support the next time it comes back down into that level. One other thing that is noteworthy on this 4-hour time frame is actually this that we were talking about yesterday, because we broke out above here. And then I remember making a video exactly when we were trading on this trend line, and I was saying, guys, this is it. We are either about to see a bounce from this trend line, or if we fall back below it, it is pretty much guaranteed that we are going to 58 to 56,000 US dollars at that point, potentially even lower. But we got that perfect bounce exactly from this descending trend line and resumed higher, right? Now even breaking out above this level here. So especially if we now get a daily candle close above this 62.4K level, then I would say it is very likely that we are coming up into this 55 to 56K level, but it will take some time because on the lower time frames, if we take a look at the RSI momentum indicator, many of the lower time frames are now showing extreme overbought conditions. So it will likely take some time to cool off there before we get that move higher. Moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map on this 6-month time frame, you can see that right now we are basically just grabbing this liquidity to the upside. There is quite a bit of liquidity, even as high as about 65.3K, roughly speaking, with close to $1 billion worth of short positions that would get liquidated if the Bitcoin price reaches this level. In fact, we're talking about $1.3 billion worth of positions that would get liquidated, meaning those traders lose their money on their trade. But as you can see, as I'm moving my mouse up here, we are already talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that has been liquidated. And the reason I'm talking about this is because when we were trading right here at about 53K, everyone in the comments and on crypto Twitter is telling me that I'm a perma bull for calling out this liquidity to the upside here. In the case that you're not familiar, we have over $3 billion worth of short liquidations that would happen if the Bitcoin price reaches 72.3K. And my base case is that eventually we are going to take out this big level of liquidity here to punish all of those people that are shorting Bitcoin in a bull market. And for now, this appears to be playing out quite nicely. Although do keep in mind that there is a difference between the different time frames. So in the short term, we could see a little bit of a cool off. Although I do think long term, eventually, we are very likely, in my personal opinion, going to grab this liquidity to the upside at about 72,000 US dollars. One other indicator that is potentially flashing a big bullish signal here is this 1-week RSI momentum indicator for Bitcoin. In the case that you're not familiar with this Basically, ever since this top here at about 72, 73K or whatever, Bitcoin has been in this downtrend in the RSI. So the momentum has been slowing. And then recently here around this 50 level, we just saw choppy sideways price action for Bitcoin for quite a long time here. And what we are potentially seeing this week is a confirmed close above this descending trend line. So basically, we are potentially getting a reversal in this momentum for Bitcoin. So breaking the downtrend on this momentum indicator, even though yes, it can still do something like this, where we would see a couple of months of sideways, potentially some bearish momentum. At the same time, this could also be that early reversal signal where we are actually going to see a couple months of upside here for Bitcoin, potentially even reaching back into this overbought territory once again. So this is definitely something that you should be keeping an eye on in the charts here, because this candle closes in the next 3 days. And personally, as I have been saying for a couple of weeks at this point, if we get that confirmed candle close above, I think that it is more likely than ever that we are at some point going to break out this descending channel to the upside to again grab all of this liquidity here, potentially go much higher beyond that. But that is a story for another time when we actually break out. Because as I said when I opened the video, so long as we are trading inside this range, we can simply go to the top of the range and we can go to the bottom of the range as well. Now, especially when we get in these areas of resistance here, that's when it actually becomes important to pay attention to this descending channel, because then you will see a lot of people will start to flip very bullish at the exact highs here before we actually get a confirmed breakout. And every single time I've said, guys, just be patient, wait like a couple more days to actually get that confirmed breakout here, because so far every time we've seen a move up above it and then a move back inside this range. And then for me personally, I'm just calling it GG's, and I'm selling the stack, which I have done. After buying here, I sold the whole stack right here. After buying here, I sold the whole stack right here. And after buying here somewhat recently, I sold half of the position right here at about 58K, because we saw a dramatic move to about 49,000 and then shot straight up to like 58 to 60,000. So I was like, yeah, let me just dump half of it right away to just lock in those gains. And the rest I'm still holding and writing out this position here from about 53,000 for the Bitcoin price. But besides that, my main trading strategy is actually on the much lower time frames. That's where I'm trading most of the time. So for example, on this 1 hour time frame here, using leverage to take this long to the upside here, taking a short position on this move to the downside here, just giving some examples. But that is my main trading strategy on those much lower time frames with a little bit higher leverage. Again, if you want to learn it, go to rt1m.com/free, or simply go to rt1m.com and it will redirect you to this /free page where you can get access to my complete trading course for free, including Crypto Cobra's video about using the pitchfork tool while you are trading the higher and the lower time frames. So hopefully you go check it out with the link in the video description. Regardless, if you do end up checking it out or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.